Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to Shane Flynn Outdoors. This is another one of our Fish Chatter episodes. This is where we talk to other YouTube fishermen, learn a little bit about them, their channel, maybe even tell a fish story or two. On this episode, our guest is fishing some big water, Great Lake size big water, Lake Erie. Our guest is Matt from Bred for Bass.
There we go. There we go, Coach. Ooh, that's a nice smallie. What that? Oh. Woo!
Hey everyone, thanks again for tuning in. This is Matt from Bred for Bass. And Matt, thanks so much for joining in at this episode. And we'll just go ahead and get started and let you tell us a little about you and your fishing style and where you live and all that good stuff.
I appreciate you having me, man. So I was actually born in Norfolk, Virginia. My dad was in the Navy, but I moved back here where he was from. Both my parents grew up here in Columbus, Ohio area, actually Buckeye Lake, Ohio. And my dad, my grandfather, both his brothers, my uncles are all diehard bass fishermen. You know, my grandfather got them into it at a young age, and then my dad kind of passed it along to me. So that's kind of where I started getting into the bass fishing world. And probably about 9 years old was when I fished like my first tournament as like a junior. And then when I kind of got out of it for a little while just because, life, I started a career, got married, had a child, but here about 3 or 4 years ago, I started getting really back heavy into it again. I purchased my first boat about a year ago. As far as bass that I like to target, smallmouth is obviously my favorite one to catch, but really any fish for that matter. But if I had to pick one, smallmouth bass is, I feel like it's probably the fish I target the most.
Yeah. I was looking through your channel and checking out some of your episodes, and you can tell you have a bit of a passion for smallmouth. But one of the things that I was interested in, checking out your episodes is you did a lot to your tracker to get it out on the water and get it the way you liked it. And you did a lot of great how-to videos and showing how you got everything, put together in a way that you were satisfied with it. Was that a lot of work, or, did you enjoy doing it?
Oh, I definitely enjoyed doing it. And that's actually kind of how the whole channel started was, I wanted to get a boat that I could get on the water with, but of course everybody has a budget. And there was a Bass Tracker Classic XL, was a very cheap, bare bones, basic boat. So I purchased that. And after I bought it, I joined a couple of Facebook groups of people that have the same boat as I do. And after owning the boat for about a month, I started looking at it, I'm like, man, I could really modify this thing to make this thing even better, to really make this thing a fishing machine and kind of, make it fit to me personally. So I started doing some modifications on it, and I was posting pictures of it in these groups. And like I said, everybody in that group has the same boat. And I started getting a lot of feedback that people were like, wow, man, like, how'd you build that casting deck? Or, all these different things. And I started getting a lot of questions. So I kind of just figured, you know what, to make this process a little easier, I'll just start recording these videos, and then I'll leave the links in these Facebook groups. And it kind of just took off from there. It really was just, I started the channel just as a way to make it easier for people to see how to build the boat. Then it kind of just started growing into more of a channel about fishing and everything, really. So
yeah, that's interesting because maybe your intention was to get the boat information out there, but now you've got a channel that's got great content on it. From how to do something from your boat to fishing. So it's really a great channel. I really enjoy watching it.
So, yeah, and I try to do something different. There's so many fishing channels out there, like you and I spoke a little bit ago about, there's just so much content out there. And I didn't really want to pigeonhole myself into something because I feel like sometimes the fishing channel market can be kind of oversaturated a little bit. So I wanted to be able to do something different, so I just do a little bit of everything. Everything involves fishing, I might be bass fishing one day or working on the boat one day. I might be catching a catfish one day. You know what I mean? I just pretty much anything fishing is kind of how I base the whole channel. So
yeah. It's again, it's great content, man. I enjoy it for sure. I got to ask though. I mean, you talked to me earlier about fishing Lake Erie. Man, you've got a great fishery there. What time of year? I mean, I'm sure it's pretty cold there right now. It's cold as heck here in Virginia right now. I'm probably
it's cold. It's cold.
What do what time of year do you start fishing? And do you wait to ice out, or do you fish during when there's ice on the lake, or if there is ice on the lake there?
No, I don't know. I'll tell you this. I don't know if we have ice on the lake yet or not. I drove by the other day, the local lake here, there wasn't, but it's been frigid the last few days here. So it's probably getting close. But usually I start fishing around late March. As soon as ice thaws off, that's when I really start getting into it. And then obviously my favorite times, like most anglers, at pre-spawn, which is usually end of April, early May, sometime in there. And that seems to be the key time for, Lake Erie too. That's when I have my most success up there, is early May, first couple weeks of May. So, yeah.
What's your biggest smallmouth out of Lake Erie?
My biggest one I've caught is 5 pounds, 8 ounces, I believe.
Wow, that's a tank for a
5 pounds. I think it's 5. It was definitely over 5. I think it was 5'8", if I remember right. It was a few years ago. My father has one over 6 off there, but 5'8" was my biggest one.
Yeah,
a lot of that, and that lake's full of them, man. And there are a lot of 4-pounders, a lot of 3s, a lot of 4s. I mean, and it's nothing to come by 5, honestly. I mean, I've only it's only happened to me one time, but it's got a lot of 5-pound fish in there, that's for sure. So it's a fish to some people, and it is to me too. But I know there's so much better fish in there than even that. So
a 5-pound smallmouth, man, they fight like crazy. I mean, I that's one of the reasons I enjoy smallmouth fishing, is the fight is twice as hard than a largemouth bass, it seems.
No quit. Even a 1-pounder, 1 or 2-pounder, they never die, man. And my cousin who fishes with me a lot in my videos, he caught his personal best smallmouth this year. It was a little over 3 pounds. It was on a smaller lake here by the house, and he fought that thing forever. And the whole time I'm just sitting there talking to him like, this is what it's all about right here, man. Because he never experienced anything like that. And I was like, this is what it's about. This is why I love smallmouth fishing so much. I was like, they just never quit. It doesn't matter to them. They refuse to give up.
Yeah.
And like you said, a largemouth, I could tell pretty quickly, that lake here by my house that has smallmouth, I could tell pretty quickly what I've got, because, a largemouth will just lay over and die after,
he'll shake his head 4 or 5 times, right?
Couple good tugs, and I'm dragging him across the water. You know what I mean? So I can tell pretty quickly.
Yeah.
What I got. So.
Well, so I got to ask you, so what's your favorite bait to target smallmouth with? What's your comfort bait?
Oh, it's hard to pass on a tube, man. A green pumpkin tube. I just feel like I think it's something every angler knows about, but it's just, it really is just a unstoppable bait when it comes to smallmouth. Especially on Lake Erie. I mean, it always works. Doesn't matter the time of year. I feel like a tube is a lure you can catch any bass on it, any body of water in the country.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And honestly, it's, everybody knows about it, but nobody talks about it. It's just one of them things, I don't know if it's an old school thing and it's just kind of went away and got forgotten about, but I fish with them a lot.
Yeah. I actually, just a few hours ago, I was up in the garage and I bought some new tubes, because today I released my chatterbait twist hack that I do on my chatterbaits, and I put a tube with a grub in it. And I was making one with green pumpkin and a chartreuse tail on it. So, I mean, green pumpkin is a magic color for largemouth and smallmouth.
Oh yeah.
But I hear that from everybody that fish smallmouth. You just can't go wrong with the tube.
And I don't know what it imitates. I mean, some people say a crawl, some people, I don't know. I mean, I've thrown baits out there that look exactly like a crawl and they won't touch it. But something about them impinges is when it falls, man, they can't resist it.
Yeah.
They just can't.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. Well, Matt, one of the things I like to do is kind of do a little fish story for these interviews. And I kind of send it out as, talk about your most epic fishing day, but really, what's your most memorable fishing day or fishing experience that you could share with us?
Well, I got a couple. I got one that's a little longer, but the one little quick one here that happened this past year was my son caught his first bass. It was very important to me. Something, like I said, I grew up into bass fishing. It's something I've been trying to get my son into. He's 10 years old now, and he caught his first largemouth bass on a KVD 1.5 crankbait at Lake Cumberland in Kentucky, where they're on vacation. So that was truly a special moment to me that I'll never forget. But as far as the best day of fishing or a story that I have would be Lake Erie. It was, I want to say 2018. It was Mother's Day, and I'll never forget because my wife was very upset that I called her, I was with my dad, I called her from out in the boat, and I said, hey, look, we're on them right now. I ain't going to be home for a couple hours. So, and she was very upset with me, but it's like one of those once in a lifetime opportunities, and we just couldn't come in. But what happened was Lake Erie gets really rough, very, very rough, very quickly. I mean, it can take your life for sure if you're not careful.
Yep.
But we're out there fishing on one of the islands here in the Western Basin. And the storm was coming in. We knew it was coming in. The waves started picking up. And on our way out, we were going to head back across the lake back to the ramp. And it was about, I don't know, it's about a 14-mile ride across there. And on our way back out, though, all these waves are crashing into this point. And my dad was like, let's just stop right here real quick and make a couple casts, and then we'll go. So we pull up there, and very first cast, using a tube, I threw it as far as I could. I mean, right in the rocks, right onto the bank. I mean, you couldn't get it any closer to the bank without actually being on the bank. As soon as it hit the water, 3.5 pounds smallmouth smashed it.
Wow.
So I was like, man, that was awesome, But I was like, second cast, did the exact same thing, just chucked it in the wind. As soon as it hit the water, just another one smashed it. And my dad at the time, he was casting a little further out the other direction. He was like looking back at me like, what you got going on back here? Third cast, same thing, right into the rocks, hit the water, another one smashed it. I mean, 3 casts within a matter of seconds. So my dad's like, enough of this, I'm casting up there. For about 20 to 25 minutes, every cast up against that rock was a smallmouth, hit it as soon as it hit the water. We probably caught, 35, 40 smallmouth in a half-hour time period. It was a day I'll never forget. It was truly amazing. Nothing crazy huge, maybe 4 pounds, the biggest smallmouth we caught that day, but it was just something I don't know if I'll ever experience again. It was truly just the right moment at the right time. We're, like I said, the waves are coming in. We're in 2.5, 3 footers at this point, rolling. You're trying to keep a balance in the boat. You're doing everything you can just to chuck as far as you can up there against the rocks, and it was awesome.
Yeah,
it was truly an awesome moment, and to be with my dad, that meant a lot to me. So.
Yeah, that is. And man, when you have them just one right after another, cast after cast, it starts to indent in your memory, and it's hard to forget it, right? It's just a memorable experience.
Yeah. Ohio is, I say this, Ohio has good fishing, but it's very pressured and it's very tough. A lot of these smaller lakes, they just get, there's 150, 200 boat tournaments on Saturday and Sundays every weekend during fishing season. It's tough pickings. You got to work hard to get 5 bites. You call it junk fishing. You're flipping every dock, flipping every piece of wood, and you're just doing whatever you can to try to get 5 bites, and that's a good day. If you catch 5 bass on most of these lakes around here, that's a good day fishing for us.
Yeah.
Lake Erie's a little story. Lake Erie is the lake you can go to and actually have one of those real memorable days out there fishing. But there's always the weather factor with Lake Erie, though. You got to have the right weather, because if you don't, you can waste a whole week up there and never even get on the water.
Yeah. That's part of dealing with the Great Lakes, right? They're big, they're vicious when they are rough, and you got to be careful on them. Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
It's interesting. Something you mentioned, in your story there was the weather was turning. And if you watch my channel, you'll see I fish a lot in the rain. I'm not a fair weather fisherman. Now, I'm a safe fisherman. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to fish in the middle of a thunderstorm. But if I know lightning's 15 or 20 miles away, I might ride it out. But I have really good luck fishing when the weather's turning. I focus on it.
I feel like Smallmouth don't like nice weather. Bass, in period, don't like nice weather.
Yeah.
You know, my dad said if fish like nice weather, then everybody be fishermen. You know, but fish love the worse the weather, it seems the better it is. You know, and if you can gut through it and stand out there in the wind and rain, you're going to have some of your best days in those conditions.
Yeah.
It gets them turned on, it gets them fired up. You know,
Yeah.
and like you said, it truly is some of your best fishing in those moments.
Yeah. I went on, you probably seen on the news here in Virginia, we had a bad snowstorm. And, you know, maybe you've seen there's cars trapped on the highway. That was not far from my house. The day prior, it was 65 degrees. I was fishing before that snow came in, and I watched that front move come in, and I did video it, and I'll probably put it out here pretty soon, but that's when I caught fish, is when that front started moving in and the pressure started changing, the wind switched direction. They bit for just a little bit, but you know, as soon as it started getting cold, I was out there.
Oh yeah, that barometric pressure is a real thing, man. It really is. Something about just when that changes, it turns them into a different creature. You know, they just go on feeding frenzies for sure.
Yeah, they be turned into an eating machine. So
yeah.
Well, Brad, tell us a little bit about what you got in the future on your channel. I mean, what are we going to see in the next 6 months or 4 months to a year? What's your focus going to be there on your channel?
Just to kind of continue on the path we are. I think this next season I'm going to focus a little more on the fishing stuff. I mean, I'll still do stuff with the boat, but try to focus on getting better footage out on the water catching fish. We do a lot of giveaway stuff. The amount of money, the amount of stuff we've given away on our channel. I mean, I was adding it up the other day, and it's about $1,500 worth of just free stuff I've given away. And
that's great.
And I truly enjoy doing that. I really do. You know, my wife always said if I was in control of the money, we would have no money. You know, because I'm a caring person, and I like giving to others. I really do, and that's what makes me happy. So we give away a lot of stuff. We're going to continue to do that, and then just continue to build a family, you know. And that's what I say Bred for Bass is. It's not just a fishing channel, it's a fishing family. And yeah, we're just going to keep this thing moving, man.
Yeah, I really enjoyed just the other night. I think it was a week ago tonight. You had a live cast on YouTube. You know, I joined in for a little bit. That's awesome. I mean, just talking to your followers and your subscribers. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I just like doing that kind of stuff, man. Like I said, yeah, you know, I might just go out in the garage and turn the live stream on and just sit there, and there might be only 1 or 2 people on there, and I'll talk to them or whatever and talk fishing. And I really enjoy doing it. You know, I don't predicate, or like I said, I don't pigeonhole myself into anything when it comes to the channel. I just, whatever involves with fishing, you know, it's kind of what we do. I mean, you might see me fishing with some live bait one day, you know, catching catfish or carp, or you might see me in the creeks fishing. That's one thing I do want to do more of this year, is get back into the streams, fishing creeks and stuff like that. Before I bought my boat the last few years, I got really heavy into that. But then once I purchased my boat, I kind of got away from that, because, you know, you can get on the water wherever you want with the boat. So, but I really do enjoy that type of fishing, wading the rivers, catching creek smallmouth and stuff like that. So that's something I definitely want to get into with the channel going forward as well.
All right. We'll look forward to seeing that on your channel. I got to throw out a plug. You're talking about giveaways. I don't know if you've seen, I put out a commercial. I'm doing 3 bass challenges on my channel this year, and they're nationwide. I'm going to do a big bass tournament in April, and I'll do the one in May will be 3 largest bass combined for the month. Uh-oh, you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. Can you see me?
Yeah, your camera went off. There we go.
There we go. My bad.
Yeah, no worries. But, you know, please join in. You know, people are like, well, people in Florida catch bigger bass. I was just down fishing a tournament in Florida, and the biggest bass was my partner caught it at 3.5 pounds. Right. So anyone can win it. Right. So it's free.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm going to give away probably, I'm going to give over $1,000 away in those 3 tournaments. Easy. In equipment and cash. So, you know, spread the word and join in if you'd like.
Yeah, definitely, man. I appreciate it. And I really like what you're doing with the interview thing, man. I think that's I know, and this might not be, I'm not saying this is the reason why you're doing what you're doing, but, you know, I feel like, you know, with these channels, you got to do something different. And I think this is something that's really cool, you know, interviewing some smaller fishing channels to help kind of spread the word. I think it's a really cool thing you're doing, man. And I really support it, and I'll continue to support it. So
yeah, well, I appreciate that. And I, I just want to spread the good word. That's really what I'm trying to do. Because you do got great content. And I just don't ask anybody. I'll be honest. I follow the channel, I watch your content, and then I'm like, well, I want to get the word out. And I've just got a small audience. I've been doing this for a little bit of time, but I will continue to push, your channel as much as possible. Because you put out good content, you deserve for people to see it. And again, I really appreciate the content you put out, and I really appreciate you coming on and being on the show today.
hey, man, Shane, I appreciate you having me, man. It was truly an honor.
Okay. Well, everybody, I'll have a link to Matt's channel, Bred for Bass, and it is not just a channel, it's a family. So I appreciate your time, Matt.
Yep, no problem, man. Thank you.